Hey, what's up everybody? This is Coach Mike with Elite Performance and welcome to my channel. Before I get started today, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you are notified when new content comes out. You definitely don't want to miss that. That being said, what I want to talk to you today about is a very ancient technique that doesn't cost one penny, and it will help you to upregulate your immune system, which in these days I think most people would agree is a good idea to have a healthy, robust immune system. Before I get into the topic, like what I'm going to tell you about, the first thing you have to do is you have to understand that this is a tool, right? It's a piece of a puzzle, right? It's not the end all. A lot of times, particularly here in America, we like to compartmentalize things, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but we definitely like to compartmentalize things. But when it comes to health, we just can't afford to do that. We have to look at health from a holistic point of view. It's mind, body, soul, it's everything. So while this may be an effective tool, if the other 98% of your life doesn't at least kind of, look like health, then this is not gonna have the effects that it will have on another person. So just, let's say, keeping that in mind, this is a tool. It's a piece of the puzzle. It's not the whole puzzle. You do have to do other things. All right, so the first thing I need for you to understand is who you are and who you are not. Okay? What I mean by that is you look in a mirror, you see a body, you see flesh, you see hair, skin, teeth, you have bones, you can move, might have broke one, maybe they ache, something, but you have them, you have organs, you see all of these physical things. You see a lot of biology, and it's very, very easy to see that biology and think that's who you are, this physical, biological being. But that's not who you are. Because if we look at that same skin, same hair, same organs, same bones, same teeth, same everything, we find out that all of that is made of something smaller called cells. And you're made up of 50 trillion of those. Now, you're not even made up of cells, because the cells are made up of smaller things. You go inside the cells, you find the organelles of the cell. You find the mitochondria, you find the ribosomes, you find the endoplasmic reticulum, you find the DNA, you find the RNA, you find all of this stuff even smaller than the cell. But that's not even who you are. Because we can go into those organelles and go subatomic, and now we find protons, we find neutrons, we find electrons, we find quarks, we find that boson particle, we find some little bitty stuff. And that's not even who you are, because now we can take two particles, itty bitty, little bitty things that extremely powerful microscopes to see. And you can put these particles in what's called a particle accelerator. And you can run them at very high speeds and slam them into each other. And guess what you find? You find energy. Right? You find energy. So if we take that biological body and we break it down to its lowest common denominator, who you are is energy. And that's very important. You have to understand that it's not biology. On the outside, it's biology. We live in a biological environment. But when you break it down to the lowest common denominator, it's energy. This is important because if at my essence, I'm not physical in flesh and blood, then the mechanics of disease are going to work completely different if I'm energy, right? Everything is not going to work the same. You can't treat energy with a shot, right? And if at the core of who you are is not physical, it's now energy, which means we now have to look at disease, all of them, from a different point of view, okay? So now, if we come back and we look at causes of disease, all right, so if we stand in biology, but look into energy, the bridge that can bridge those two things together, the only bridge that can bridge those two things together as far as disease goes, is inflammation, okay? Inflammation happens in the body when an oxygen atom loses an electron. Now, an electron is that same particle that can be put into a particle accelerator and slammed together. You see nothing but energy, all right? So inflammation happens when an oxygen atom loses an electron, which means inflammation is electrical. Now, inflammation is the root cause of every disease on earth. There's a small, I think it's like 3% of people that might have got hit with messed up genes. But other than that, very small number of people, inflammation. I don't care if it's psychological. It's going to come down to inflammation. Because most people, everybody knows, the body has, an immune system. But the body also has a fire department. And it's the fire department's job to put out fires of inflammation. Now, inflammation in and of itself is not a bad thing. Inflammation in and of itself is a good thing. You fall on the concrete, scrape your knee, inflammation is going to start. It's the body healing itself. All right, you walk outside some car with bad emissions, backfires, you get all this pollution, probably going to cough, going to cause a little bit of inflammation. Your body's going to put the fires out. Everything goes great, right? So inflammation in and of itself isn't bad. The problem is chronic inflammation. Because when the body is chronically inflamed, and this is what I was talking about when I say you have to look at things holistically. When the body is chronically inflamed, no one thing is going to fix it because no one thing caused it. So when the body's chronically inflamed, that means that the fire department is constantly putting out fires. Now in the body, the fire department isn't using water. The fire department is using minerals. All right, so it's taking minerals from other places in your body to put out fires because the fires just won't stop and it can't get enough minerals in, so it starts stealing them from other places in the body, all right, which can be anywhere. A lot of times it's bones, but they can steal it from anywhere. Now, so inflammation is the root cause of all disease, all right, because like I said, it basically, once something becomes inflamed, it doesn't work like it's supposed to. Whether it's an upper respiratory virus that everybody's afraid of, inflammation. It can be cancer, inflammation, right? Anything is inflammation, which means sickness is now not mechanical, it's electrical. So again, mechanical interventions don't work very well because the true cause was electrical, right? In the United States of America, this probably sounds really weird. But in other countries, this sounds really normal. And if you look at it from this point of view, we're kind of all saying the same thing. Traditional Chinese medicine, right? Acupuncture works off of what's called 12 meridians. They believe in acupuncture is, again, thousands of years old and nobody's ever died from acupuncture. But they believe that there are 12 meridians, 12 flows of energy going through the body. And when there's a disruption in the flow of energy through the body, that's where you get disease. All right. If we look at America, they have chiropractic. All right, chiropractors are adjusting your spine, neck, hips. Why? Because that's the electric company of the body, the spine, the spinal cord, the brain. It's the manipulation of energy. It's the exact same concept as acupuncture. If we go India, you see yoga, right? Same stuff, because now we see chakras. Which, side note, chakra literally translates to spinning wheel. So for all the Christians out there, when Ezekiel said he saw a wheel spinning in a wheel, he's talking about chakras. Just side note. But every place across the earth, traditional medicine, ancient medicine, and again, we can look at the Native Americans. They know this. They knew this. Understand that disease is coming from energy. Right? It's not a physical thing. So now, inflammation occurs when an oxygen atom loses an electron. So inflammation occurs when your body starts to run low on electrons. Right? Now, how can we combat this? There are a lot of ways. A lot of things are going to be don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Now, there are some do this and do this and do this. And I'm going to talk about one of them, okay? Lightning strikes the earth, I think is about 8 or 9 million times a day. Upwards of 95% of that lightning has a negative charge, full of electrons. So every time lightning strikes the earth, it deposits electrons into the earth. I'm going to say it again. Inflammation happens when an oxygen atom in your body loses an electron. Right? When that happens, it becomes what's called a free radical. Free radicals are metabolic Velcro. When enough of them stick to something, it starts to break down. Another example would be iron turning to rust. Right? That's from inflammation. That's oxidative damage, right? And it happens in the body, right? So the earth is full of the things that your body lost, full of electrons. Ancient tribes all around the earth know these things. If we go to any ancient tribe on earth, we don't see the diseases that we see in the rest of the, world where they're supposed to be technologically advanced. You don't see that stuff with them. Well, one reason you don't see it is how to eat. But another reason why you don't see it is because they don't walk around with rubber on the bottom of their shoes, which is a great insulator against electricity. And they don't walk around on concrete. They walk around on the earth with their feet. And their bodies are constantly absorbing electrons, right? Now, along with their diets and some other things, their bodies now don't become inflamed, right? The technique is actually called grounding. Earthing was the name that was given to it in the 80s, but the practice of doing it goes back to the beginning of time as we know it on earth. I mean, we didn't have shoes back then. And at a certain point, once rubber was introduced, we started to see how being disconnected from the earth in that way was making us sick. I mean, if you really think about it, everything that we need to survive is on earth. But in the United States of America, like if you really ask most people, when's the last time you stood outside in the grass with no shoes on? Most people, a lot of people probably would say, I don't know, years or something like that. And then, like, I've never been to Europe, but I see pictures of it, and I don't see too much grass over there. Everything looks concrete. So I'm just assuming that it's probably the same there, you know. But one of the easiest things you can do is 15, 20 minutes a day. If you have the opportunity, just go outside, sit in a chair, take your shoes off. Socks too, cotton does not conduct electricity. It needs to be your skin. You know, run around, do some exercise, or just sit down, touch the earth, absorb electrons. Doesn't cost a penny, extremely effective at helping the body to upregulate the immune system. So again, if you have the opportunity to get to a beach, go. That sand is full of electrons. It can do nothing but help you. Until next time, guys, it's Coach Mike. Take care.